I'm not exactly the biggest Binding of Isaac fan.
You need to see.
No, it's not that I don't like it or anything. I've been wanting to play it, I just don't know much about it. It's a pretty well-known game though, and I can see why. The art style is so grotesque yet charming. I am biased because I love pixel art. It's very playable, and it's simple but creative at the same time. You know what this reminds me of? Plants vs. Zombies. Another simple, greedy game with a lot of replay value. Well, someone by the name of Dr. Hummer decided to combine both of these games and release iRule, a PvZ and Binding of Isaac fan game that's meant to be a tribute to both creators Edmund McMillan and George Fan, which is pretty neat. The game is still in alpha, and Dr. Hummer did step down from the developer role, but a new programmer by the name Toncho is actively working on it, which is pretty exciting. Starting the game, you can very clearly see that it's very Binding of Isaac oriented. The art style and vibe straight off the bat really settles how gritty this fan game will be, and I'm excited. It reminds me of Mis Amigos. I'm glad there's more creepy games that follow the tower defense formula. The first thing we see is a silly little guy all cozy up in the bed. That's so adorable. We start off with 4 characters. They're named babies. Brother Bobby, who looks like a corpse. Little Chad, who looks super adorable. Look how happy he is. The cube of meat, which is literally just a cube. And Bob's brain, which is literally just a brain. These are all items from Binding of Isaac, Rebirth to be specific. All of them are very simple. Brother Bobby is just a pea shooter. Little Chad is the sunflower of the game, who forms hearts, which is the sun of this game. And the cube of meat is a defense item, and Bob's brain can blow up like Potato Mine. The game's animations are so cute and very faithful to Binding of Isaac. I can tell the artists of the game really put an effort into matching his style. It's practically the same. You could argue it's an official game with how it looks. We're introduced to 3 simple enemies. The Gaper, who's just a basic monster. The Fly, who just smashes against your defense. And the weirdest one I would say, Fatty, who farts and pushes enemies into other rows. One of the more interesting gimmicks is the selection of cards. You don't just get a baby automatically, you have 3 options to pick. If you really want to know what you'd be picking out of the options, you can always check the Wikipedia if needed to know what you want to pick. I picked the Ghost Baby, mainly because it can attack more than one enemy, which would be pretty useful. The next level we meet, Mr. Shy, an enemy that acts like a buckethead, is introduced. When its mask breaks, it'll turn around and run away. I kinda feel bad for it. It's not even that ugly. Poor guy. There's also poop now. I don't know what it is with the poops and farts in this game, though in its defense, Binding of Isaac also has a lot of poop. I cannot believe that's a thing. The poops work as obstacles that can block projectiles, protecting the enemies. There's also the blizzard poop that doesn't necessarily work as an obstacle for the game, but more so an assistance as well. When you destroy these poops, they can freeze enemies in the 3x3 area. Although, it can freeze babies too, but only when they're in proximity. Level 2 is not a short one, though like I've said before, I don't like when levels are short. They end up being more forgettable. For my next card selection, I selected the Demon Baby only because it looked cooler than the Rainbow Baby. I'm very curious in the unknown card though. I might select it next time. I'm glad I chose the Demon Baby as it can shoot enemies in a 5x5 area, no matter where they are, just as long as they're near, the projectiles will target them. I'm so greedy though, I kinda wish I had both Demon Baby and Rainbow Baby. The third level introduces 3 new enemies this time. The Trite, the Mooly Boom, and the Squirt. The Trite can hop from tile to tile and will never stay in one consistent lane. It's very annoying. The next is the Mooly Boom, which will explode on contact. I think this is very obvious based on the bomb lodged on its head. Then we have Squirt, really weird name, and it's poop. Again, why does Binding of Isaac like poop so much? Squirt leaves piles of poop behind him as he moves, though it starts pushing piles before it even shows up. When it dies, it will split into 2 really cute little poops. I cannot believe I just said that. One of the Gapers, for some reason, dropped a blue pill. These pills can be given to the babies to assist you. They all work in different ways. I really like this mechanic. It is in Binding of Isaac as well, but it also reminds me of Plants vs. Zombies 2's Plant Food, but in a more unique manner. Then we have a boss, already. Definitely wasn't expecting that, but I'm not complaining. I enjoy the fact that it escapes the tower defense formula and tries something different, which is what this boss is meant to be. The Mega Plum goes as follows. It can summon random enemies to defend itself, no surprise there. Sometimes for a second it will leave the area, then immediately slam in the ground to release poop. Yeah, more poop. It'll take out a megaphone and scream in it, which increases enemy speed. Honestly, I did not expect this attack. The face it makes is so funny, but this is surprisingly not the funniest attack. The last one, it can take out a revolver and shoot 3 babies in a back lane. Yeah, a freaking revolver. I love that. The boss wasn't that hard though. I can't say too much as I do know there are 2 difficulties and I'm probably on easy mode. I'm gonna assume it's much harder on the other difficulty, which I will showcase later. The Mega Plum, even if it wasn't that challenging, was fun. The animations for it are so bouncy and so entertaining. It's almost comical and charming, and I love that. I give so much respect to the animation department for this game. I can tell they had fun animating it. Afterwards, the boss drops a candle and an altar. There were items you could choose, and honestly, I chose a candle purely by accident. I wasn't sure if they were interactive or not, but hopefully there's some use to it. There's a shop too. There's so many options to choose, like Isaac's Fork, where enemies will drop hearts if killed by spikes or thorns, or the Purple Heart, which increases the chance of encountering champion enemies. They're pretty much enemies that will drop coins, pills, or more. That's how I got my blue pill. Then, the Sanguine Bond, which installs spikes in front of your defensive babies. Honestly, I picked the Purple Heart mainly because I enjoy collecting coins, pills, and I'm curious to see what else they drop. The candle that I picked up is actually an item as well, so there really was use to it after all. It can destroy an entire lane of monsters. Wow, not bad at all, especially because you can use it more than once in a level. It just has a short cooldown. The next level introduces minecarts. The game goes by pretty fast though, I understand why. It is an alpha version after all. I do get 2 pills in this level, which is neat. I hope they're useful compared to the blue one. That one did almost nothing. For the next selection of characters, for one of them, I could tell it was most likely the Spike Weed of the game. Just look at it, it has to be. I'd be surprised if it wasn't. And this weird head named Abel. But this time, I decided to pick the unknown out of pure curiosity, where I unlocked the Crispy Baby, which can shoot fireballs down the lane. I suppose I am glad I got this one. It can deal high damage, shooting fireballs down the lane, being my first fire character at my disposal. The next level introduces a gimmick. Enemies can now be stuck in amber. When broken, they will release whatever enemies hidden inside of it. It's a pretty simple mechanic, but honestly the more obstacles, the more of a challenge. I'm excited to see the inevitable hard difficulty. It also introduces 2 enemies. The Plum, silliest design I've ever seen, just flies over enemies instead of attacking them. And the Ragdoll is not a champion gaper. It stays in the back and will start firing after a bit to the very back of your babies, which will deal splash damage. For my next selection, I decided to get this little demon as I love how devious he looks. My favorite about this is the mystery of what baby you might pick. You don't know what they do, so it's almost like a roulette. From a strategy standpoint, it could be considered a little RNG as you don't really know what they do, so you might not pick the right one, but I really like the mystery of it all. Lil Loki, the name of the demon, can shoot tears in all 4 cardinal directions, like the star fruit. Judging by its look, I don't think those tears are its own, to be honest with you. I also forgot to mention this Diglett looking enemy. It hides on the ground and will only come out when it's biting an enemy. It also reminds me of that worm from SpongeBob. It also looks like something else. The next level introduces my grandfather's poo party. It dashes and pushes babies further to the left. It's really obnoxious, though it's not annoying as Mr. Diglett over here. He's the reason why I lost a lawnmower, and why I had to use a pill. I was panicking, so I placed it on a baby, and thankfully the PvZ gods were on my side and the pill was able to wrap a shield around this said baby, so the worm could not bite into it. I still lost my lawnmower though. Clearly a defense baby was more important than I thought. I honestly just struggled to decide who to select as I'm only limited to 4 slots. Probably the smallest amount of slots in a fan game, though I suppose it forces you to act smart. I lost another one because of a hardy. I cannot believe I lost one to a poop. One detail I noticed that was kind of funny was that an enemy tried to run away as soon as the mower worm thing began to kill the remainder of the lawn. It was kind of sad to watch that. We now get our next boss, the Ragdoll. She was actually more of a challenge. I lost some more because I hadn't had enough babies coming my way to place down in one of my columns. She goes as follows. It can send an enemies through ambers or safes. Sometimes these could crush whatever enemies are near. I only got one defense baby and honestly died like a few seconds later. Kind of a shame. It can summon the Death Skull. I honestly didn't see anything like this in my playthrough, but it can supposedly wipe out a whole lane of babies. It's not as creative as the Mega Plum attack-wise. It doesn't have a gun, which is a shame. It was an okay boss for what it was. I like her design a lot. It's like a mommy and a witch had a baby. We were able to pick 2 items again, and I picked the remote, hoping it was related to explosions. Guess we will find out. We're back at the shop though, with a lot more options this time. First, we got an item that will let us have the ability to choose 3 items after a boss instead of 2. Then there's a spider that will show health bars. Jarvis, show me their health bars. Next, we have a wind-up key that lets you fire up the mowers without having to wait for them to be interacted with. There's also a mystery gift, whatever this is, and a charger replacement token. The mowers are called chargers, so I guess we'll call it those for now on. This token can bring a charger back. Hey, that's pretty useful. So naturally, I bought that and the mystery gift out of curiosity. Turns out the gift was actually a free baby, which is awesome. I unlocked the Mongo baby, which will replicate the shooting style of whatever it is behind it. It's an okay baby because it costs a little less than the other babies, so with how limited your slots are, I don't think it's worth it. The next floor, for some reason, the chargers are limited now. You can only pick one to bring back, as well as teleporters. When an enemy touches a tile with a teleporter, it will teleport to the next, which is in a completely different column and could be closer than before. Really scary. The enemies made this level a little problem compared to before. We're introduced to 2 new enemies, the Gnaw and William. God damn it, William. The Gnaw is an enemy that randomly goes invisible. I don't really like how random it is, because it's unexpected. But William, oh my god, William is the worst of the 2. It's a flying bug that kamikazes an enemy as soon as it touches it. And it doesn't die easily. It completely demolished my combat babies, and I had to sacrifice little Chads later on, as I didn't want to keep losing my crispy babies. For my next options after, I was highly considering the multi-dimensional baby. I mean, it's the multi-dimensional baby. But baby Pluto and its eyes, I really couldn't resist baby Pluto. It's so freaking cute. So with that, I picked baby Pluto. It shoots tears. Not much to it, honestly, though I love its animation. Turns out the remote control is a literal airstrike. So I was right about it being explosion related. So now I'm gonna use it instead of the candle. Then I messed up, like a complete idiot. I restarted the level, or at least I thought I was restarting the level, but turns out it restarted my entire game. Why can you reset your progress in the pause menu? I guess I clearly cannot read, so that was my bad. I'm stupid. But don't worry, I just replayed again. And unfortunately, I didn't have my same setup. I unlocked Pegasus, which creates streams of wind that can blow enemies away. I honestly love how stupid and silly he looks. I gotta say though, he's a really useful baby. Its knockback is crazy OP, so I'm glad I have it now. As well as a Whiz Baby, which shoots tears in 2 diagonal directions. For the first boss, the Mega Plum, again, I got a kidney bean that charms enemies in a 3x3 area. I missed my candle and my airstrike remote. What a shame. Something I noticed when replaying is that the enemies are also technically random too, as I meet new enemies that I did not see before. Hardhead, which just counters attacks from above. I do think this is pretty interesting. I thought the only randomizing in this game were the selection of items and babies. Looks like this game is all about your choices, but random choices to be exact. Also, this big stone guy named the Stoner who takes a lot of damage, as well as attracting enemies in the lane it's in. Once beating the Ragdoll again, I unlocked the Breath of Life, which can bring fallen babies back to life, as well as my replacement token again, Frosty Mint, which will freeze enemies that bite into my babies, and a flip item that gave me the Curse of Unknown. What is that? Are we cooked? Or are we french fried? We're then finally back to where we were before. The Pegasus is honestly so useful in making sure enemies don't touch the teleportation tiles. I love the Pegasus. I forgot to mention it, but the 3rd chapter has a very strange mechanic where large hands, called mom's hands, will drop in and either take away some of your babies or spawn in more enemies. They scared me at first as they're completely unexpected once you start a wave. For my next selection of items though, I'm not able to know what they are. All I see are 3 unknown cards. I picked the middle one, and I got my baby Pluto back. Yay! The next level introduces one of my favorite design enemies, Frosty. I honestly just think his design is really cool. It can freeze your enemies. Some of these enemies' mechanics aren't that complex, they're pretty simple and fairly straight to the point. There's really nothing wrong with that. The best part about Pegasus, by the way, to glaze it even more, is that it's actually William's counter. So worrying about it coming and blowing up my babies is no longer a fear when I have the Pegasus by my side. Thank goodness, I hate William, I hate you William. My next selection of babies was random again and I unlocked Abel, who creates a shadow copy that will shoot in the opposite direction. The best way to use him is to place him all the way down in my first column so you can summon a hologram all the way in the end. This is quite effective, as not only is it harder for enemies to kill it as you typically put it all the way in the beginning, but also you have 2 attacks rather than 1. The next boss, the last one, is my favorite out of all 3 mainly because of its mechanics, the middle horn. So starting off, the layout is pretty different. There's a large gap between one row of lanes and the other. First of all, it's very convenient for Abel as it will leave its holograms all the way in the end and no enemy could touch it, not even the boss. These large gaps are for the enemies and it limits you to 3 columns, giving you more of a challenge. He can also throw large ice shots towards the babies that will turn them into ice blocks, similar to Frosty. With these ice blocks though, if one of them is in the first or second column, he's able to move them with a chain, killing whatever it is in front of them. Love that double attack honestly, really gives another obstacle. I thought the Ragdoll before was way too easy and simplistic, so this was pretty relieving. The funniest part is the pose when it dies. Does this look familiar to you guys? I think we killed Peter Griffin. And that marks the end of my main gameplay, where we unlock more ways to play, and we get a palette of a lot of great items. The ones I struggled to choose were the last 3. Pokego, that gave me a random monster card at the start of a level, Salvation, that eliminates an entire row, saving me a charger, and Black Candle, which allows me to break a curse. I honestly went with Salvation. I think it's personally the best option. Afterwards, we unlocked that difficult mode I was talking about. It's pretty interesting. You tend to keep going with your progress, unlocking mystery cards and fighting more packs of enemies, as well as a heart system rather than a number system for the sun counter now? Okay. One of the levels was a little too overwhelming, and I finally got the game over screen, which straight up tells us the story of this game. We're a child that's simply playing with our toys, and similar to the Binding of Isaac, we have an abusive mother who we hide from. This explains the mother's hands in chapter 3. It's very similar to the game it's based off of, that's for sure. Oh, and once you die, you have to restart the entire game. No wonder when I tried to retry, my entire progress got reset. I would have been resetted anyway. Now this part, I really don't know how to feel about it. That's a little frustrating when you're playing and your entire save progress gets reset. There are 6 challenges. There's Speed My Ass. In this challenge, you play the first level, but everything is sped up. It's almost like you're using the speed up option, like the Zombie Nimble Zombie Quick minigame. But oh my god, this level was so difficult at first. I died the first time, but you need to heavily depend on your meat cubes and your brains. When I beat this challenge, I unlocked a Juicy Sack. Okay. It's another wall brain. It has the same health as a cube of meat, but it can regenerate. Then we have Unmatchable. This next one is pretty interesting. You have 5 minecarts. The first one carrying a brother Bobby, then a Pegasus, a Freezer Baby, the Snoopy of this game, a candle, and a cube of meat. This challenge is quite strange as Pegasus could diminish the candle and the Freezer Baby's projectiles will turn to normal from the candle as well. So, you have to keep the candle with brother Bobby and keep it away from the others, as with brother Bobby it can increase his damage, like Torch would with Pea Shooter. This challenge was so annoying though. Clever? Absolutely. But I never liked the minecarts in the Wild West. This is the same way. We unlocked the candle in this game though, the Pastoral Candle. Then we have Mindfuck. This one's another challenging one. I gotta say, I enjoy how difficult these are. They really make me lock in. In this one, all the enemies are invisible, and the only way to detect them is by the brother Bobby, real competitive, especially because your babies are invisible too. At least you also have this random snow globe item that will freeze all enemies on the lawn to give you an idea of how many enemies are there and where they are. You unlock the Psychic Baby from this, which will attack with piercing tears, though it works like a boomerang. Then Civil War, we have to fight the Mega Plum again, though it's like iZombie, you have to use the enemies against it. This level was really difficult, the Mega Plum overwhelms you with enemies, and your slots also charge very slowly. I was actually about to lose, but I killed him last minute. This is where I locked Parasitoid, which shoots an egg-shaped tear that splits into 2 flies and adjacent rows. Very effective. Then second to last, we have limited edition. This one forces you to be limited to strictly 2 lanes, where you have to depend on multi-lane babies. Think of Unsotted, the scrap minigame in PvZ. This one did annoy me a little because I lost at the last minute. It's because of the stoner, who like mentioned has a lot of health before, so when it's not in a direct lane, it's hard to kill. The time I did win, I got lucky, mainly because it decided to come to a direct lane this time. I unlocked the worm, which wow, this one actually looks like the worm from SpongeBob now. It'll shoot homing tears. It makes it pretty effective as no matter where you are, it will target the enemy no matter what lane it's on. Then the last challenge, the shapeshifter. I argue it's the most unique of the 6. It's a normal level, though all other costs are multiplied by 4. But every time you place it though, it places another 3 babies that will form a shape like Tetris pieces. You can rotate these pieces with Q and E. It literally works exactly like Tetris. If the pieces do not align, you cannot place babies. Compared to the others, I beat this level pretty easily though. Compared to limited edition at least. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of all the content of the game. Believe it or not, there's still other items and babies that I hadn't unlocked. So I gotta give the game props for having a lot of replay value. But hey, if you love Plants vs Zombies and you love Binding of Isaac, this is the perfect game for you. Animation and art, a 10 out of 10. Gameplay, a 7 out of 10. Long and challenging, just the way I like it. That's about it guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.